Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And tonight's Raw was from the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. And before I start the Raw review, if you guys haven't checked out the previous video that I uploaded earlier today, my Spider-Man Far From Home review is up. So if you haven't checked out the review, definitely check it out. Really enjoyed the film. I thought it was better than Spider-Man Homecoming. And it was a good movie, Spider-Man Far From Home. So definitely check out my review if you guys haven't checked it out yet. But let's get on with this Raw review. And you can tell by the look on my face, yeah, this show was so fucking boring tonight. This, in my opinion, is the second worst Raw of this year. By far. This show was so trash tonight. This show fucking sucks. Absolute garbage. This show was tonight. And this was the go-home show for Extreme Rules, which is this Sunday. Yeah, this show did not get me hyped for the pay-per-view on Sunday. Unbelievable. Fucking garbage this show was. Let's get on with this review. So, this shitty go-home show for Extreme Rules of Monday Night Raw opened up with a match. And for the second week, we did not get a 20-minute segment, we're talking so much. So it opened up with a mixed tag team match. It was Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch versus Andrade, Cien, Almas, and Zelina, Vega. My God, what a way to open Raw. This match was so fucking boring. Very, 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 very boring. Zelina Vega got eliminated by Becky because Becky ended up locking in the disarmer on Zelina. And then after that, the women were just out there. You had Zelina Vega at ringside. Becky Lynch was still standing on the ring apron. They didn't even do nothing, so they're just standing there. They didn't even go to the back or anything. They were still just standing there. You had, like I said, you had Zelina Vega at ringside and then Becky on the apron. While we just had Seth and Andrade go at it. And you had a point where Zelina ended up doing the Hurricanrana to Seth on the outside. Becky ended up taking out Zelina from the apron because Becky ended up leaping off the apron, took out Zelina. And at the end of the match, Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch end up winning. Seth ended up hitting the curb stomp on Andrade to score the win. So Seth and Becky win. Overall, boring match. Oh, and you had when Zelina, I forgot to mention when Becky ended up eliminating Zelina. Lacey Evans appeared at ringside. Becky went over and they started brawling. Both of them started brawling in the crowd. Seth ended up going there, try to separate Becky from Lacey. And that's when Raw went to commercial. Then when Raw came back, then it started with Seth and Andrade going at it because, as you all know, WWE or Vince doesn't want any wrestling during the commercial breaks. But anyways, after the match, after Seth ended up beating Andrade, Baron Corbin comes out. He ends up attacking Seth from, he ends up coming out, attacking Seth from the back, where Seth did not, see it. Ends up attacking Seth from behind. And Becky ended up laying out a punch to Corbin. And you had Lacey end up hitting Becky with the woman's right. And that's when Corbin started to go after Seth, started laying punches to Seth. And pretty much, that's what happened. So, hey, are you all excited for this match on Sunday? I sure am not. Then we had Corbin and Lacey. They were shown backstage. They were, happy about them attacking Becky and Seth. And they claimed to have manipulated both Seth and Becky before, wondering what's going to happen after they lose their titles. So that was basically what happened backstage. And so Paul Heyman came out. When the rest were attending to Seth Rollins, we saw Paul Heyman come out. Raw went to commercial. Then we had the Corbin and Lacey, where I just read what happened backstage. And then we went to Paul Heyman, who was in the ring. So the crowd ended up really cheering, big for Paul Heyman. So Paul Heyman, he was out there, he was in the ring. He was saying, this Sunday is Extreme Rules. And he knows something about the word extreme, because Extreme Rules is going to be in Philly. So Heyman says he happens to know about Extreme in Philly. He ends up saying this Sunday at Extreme Rules, Brock Lesnar will cash in the Money in the Bank contract against either the WWE Champion, Kofi Kingston, or the Universal Champion, Seth Rollins. And he says, it's not a prediction, it's a spoiler. And he then says he hasn't given a spoiler since before WrestleMania 30. He says, so if he ever wanted to put out misinformation, he's built his credibility up enough that this would be the time for him to lie. And he says, he just gave us a heads up on history. Or, he's screwing with Seth and Kofi. He says only he knows the answer. And he says one other being, who knows the answer is the former and future Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar. That's how it ended. So same old shit with Paul Heyman, with Brock Lesnar. So then we went backstage. We saw a crew member. It was dumping trash into a bin. Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre come up. And they say that they've heard that this crew member is the best garbage man in the world. And so Shane asks, what the guy's name is. This guy, says his name is Tony. And so Shane asks him if he liked to be Roman Reigns' tag team partner tonight. And he ends up telling him to stick around, because Roman Reigns is supposed to have a partner, because he was taking on Shane and McIntyre later on tonight, which was the main event, which I'll get to, because that main event was fucking garbage. Absolute shit. So they were going around trying to pick who could be Roman's partner. And then we had, I can't believe this was booked like this. This match was booked like this. We move on to the second match of the night, and it was a 2 out of 3 falls 6-man tag team match. Lo and behold, another 2 out of 3 falls match plus a 6-man tag to go with it also. What kind of fucking booking is this? They're just burying the dead horse with the 2 out of 3 falls every week because, we don't want no wrestling during the commercial. So whoever gets the first fall, we have to stop the match so we can go to commercial, so we can take a commercial. You know what? I'd rather watch the commercials than having to see, them restarting the matches all the time after the commercial break is over. So we had the Miz and the Usos versus Elias and the Revival. 2 out of 3 falls, 6-man tag team match. What more can I say? This match was terrible. This match was fucking garbage. Miz, for the first fall, the Revival and Elias get the win. The Revival end up hitting the Shatter Machine on Jimmy. Of course, Elias walks away from the match. So it was just a Revival there. And then we had a match go on after the commercial break was over. They restarted the match. So the Usos and the Miz win the second fall. Miz hit the skull crushing finale. I think it was on Scott Dawson. And then we had the Usos do the double super kicks to Dash Wilder, and the ref was off on this because when the Usos end up doing the double super kick to Dash Wilder, the ref goes, "Oh, ring the bell," and then the bell rings. Then we had the Usos do the double super kick to Scott Dawson, and Jimmy went up to the top. Jimmy ended up hitting the splash to Dawson. So the Miz and the Usos get the last fall. They win the match. That was it. Garbage match. Garbage fucking match. I can't believe the booking for this. 2 out of 3 falls, 6-man tag team match. What the fuck? Unbelievable. Then we go backstage. We saw Drake Maverick and his wife, Renee Michelle. Maverick was hiding in a road case. His wife, Renee Michelle, was playing lookout because of the other jobbers who want to get the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 championship. And Renee ends up berating Maverick for dragging her through all this. Maverick says, they're all here, and that's what matters. That's him, her, and the Jobber Ninja Turtle title. And he ends up saying, the case is quite roomy, so get in, as what he says to Renee. And Renee says, she's not having it. But Maverick ends up pledging to show her what a great husband he is. And that he's going to give her the honeymoon that she deserves. And, and she softens and says, she's ready to consummate their marriage. He says the idea of sex gets him all excited. And he starts shouting. And then we see the jobbers coming out, running after Drake Maverick. And that was that. I said, keep the Jobber Ninja Turtle title, the 24/7 championship on social media. I don't know why they are still doing this shit on TV. Keep it off of goddamn TV. Then we get Shane McMahon, Drew McIntyre. They end up approaching this beer guy for him to be a potential partner for Roman Reigns. We had that. They were just scouring for, more guys who could be Roman's partner. Then we had Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio ended up returning tonight after injury. He made his entrance. He gets on the mic. He ended up saying that he's going to keep it short and simple. And he says he stood in this ring 6 weeks ago with his arm in a sling and did one of the hardest things that he's ever done, which he relinquished the United States Championship. Mysterio says the doctors told him it'd be a long time before he would be back. But he refused. He rehabbed harder and became hungrier. And he beat the doctor's predictions. Mysterio says that he's back and he's so ready to go. He ends up saying tonight he's got an open challenge to anyone in the back who's going to listen. And who answered the open challenge? None other than Bobby Lashley. So, you mean to tell us that after last week, when Braun Strowman drove Lashley through the LED wall, that Lashley is 100% cleared to fight tonight after he went through all that what happened last week? Wow, boy, Lashley ended up getting better after a week. Wow. So, Bobby Lashley versus Rey Mysterio. This was just a squash match. Rey Mysterio comes back to Raw and then he gets fucking squashed by Bobby Lashley. Unbelievable. Bobby Lashley wins. Spear to Rey Mysterio. Man, and on Rey Mysterio's return tonight, ends up getting squashed. Wow. God. Then we had, after the match, Bobby Lashley ends up tossing Mysterio out of the ring. He ends up dragging Mysterio up the ramp. And it looks like that Lashley is trying to send Mysterio through the LED wall. And it looked like that, and the refs ended up coming out to stop Lashley. He ends up dropping Mysterio. Ends up picking up Mysterio again, he was bench pressing Mysterio. More refs come out to tell Lashley, oh, don't do it. And Lashley ends up, tossing Mysterio on top of the refs, taking out the refs that were on the stage. He gets on the mic. Lashley gets on the mic. He ends up calling out Strowman. He ends up saying that, he was the only man standing last week. And at Extreme Rules, you better believe he'll be the last man standing. So that was Lashley's message to Strowman for their match on Sunday. So pretty much, basically, that was that. And it was announced during the show that Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley match on Sunday, it's going to be a last man standing match. So there you go. So that was that, but unbelievable. Rey Mysterio comes back from injury tonight, and already he's squashed. He already gets squashed by Lashley in a squash match. Unfucking believable. Garbage. Absolute garbage. And then we go on to this. God, and the show keeps getting worse from here, guys. The show got worse from here. Cesaro versus No Way Jose. Do I need to say who wins this match? Do I? If you guessed Cesaro, you guessed right. Cesaro won with the sharpshooter to No Way Jose. No Way Jose ended up tapping out. Moving on. So we had, after that, we had the Club. Gallows and Anderson and Styles backstage. Charlie Caruso comes up for an interview, interviewing Styles because they were near Styles' dressing room. AJ Styles says, he doesn't owe anyone an explanation for what happened last week, where him and Gallows and Anderson have taken out Ricochet. So he says he doesn't owe an explanation. And he ends up telling Caruso to get out of his face. And so Charlie Caruso ends up saying, does Anderson and Gallows want to add anything? Want to say anything? And Anderson and Gallows end up declining, to comment. And that was basically that. So after that we went to the Street Profits. Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, one of my favorite tag teams in NXT. Now they're on Raw. But they're going to be working Raw and NXT. But I guess they're not going to be competing on Raw at all yet. They probably won't compete on Raw until maybe when they drop the NXT Tag Team Championships. But they were backstage, and they were just promoting Extreme Rules, which is this Sunday on the WWE Network. And, they speculate a little about, who could be Roman's partner tonight. That was basically what the Street Profits were doing. They were just promoting Extreme Rules for this Sunday. Then we went on to Mike and Maria Kanellis. This was cringe. This was fucking terrible. So, Mike Kanellis ends up bringing his wife, Maria, flowers and apologizes for what happened last week. He apologizes to Maria, saying that he's sorry and that he was caught off guard last week and that he loves her. And Maria says, oh, she loves ice cream. Well, everyone loves ice cream. Who doesn't love ice cream? And so Mike didn't get it. Maria ends up asking Mike for ice cream and pickles. And, he was kind of like ice cream and pickles. Like, he didn't really get it. And then, he later on ended up, getting it. And he ends up asking Maria if she wants non-fat. And Maria wasn't happy about that because she was thinking, oh, Mike is thinking that she's fat. And she tells Mike to go get her food, the ice cream and the pickles. And then when Mike leaves, we see Maria say, oh, what kind of a man taps out to a woman? Absolute cringe. This was terrible. Then we had Nikki Cross and Bayley. They were interviewed. Both of them were in a beat the clock challenge. Whoever won gets to choose the stipulation for the match at Extreme Rules. If Bayley won and nobody beat her time, she would pick the stipulation. If Nikki Cross end up winning, she would get to choose the stipulation for Alexa and Bayley's match on Sunday at Extreme Rules. So they were being interviewed. Nikki Cross ends up starring it. She was saying that she owes Alexa everything and doesn't know where she'd be without her. And so Bayley ends up saying to Nikki that Alexa is just using her. And she ends up telling Nikki that she needs to figure it out. So Nikki ends up saying that she's had it with her running down Alexa every chance she gets. And that she's right. She's been jealous, that she's been jealous since day one. And so Michael Cole ends up explaining the beat the clock concept, which we all know. We all seen a beat the clock challenge match. We all know how it goes. So we don't need the concept. We all know it. So Michael Cole ends up saying that for these beat the clock matches, Bayley is going to wrestle Sarah Logan. Yes, Sarah Logan made her return tonight after she was kept off TV since the shakeup when WWE decided to break up the Riot Squad. Liv Morgan hasn't been used since on SmackDown. Ruby Riott is out with an injury. Who knows when she's going to be back. So Sarah Logan made her return. So Bayley took on Sarah Logan. And Nikki Cross is going to be taking on her opponent in this Beat the Clock challenge. Nikki Cross' opponent was Dana Brooke. And when Michael Cole said that Nikki was going to be taking on Dana Brooke, I just fucking chuckled. I was like, oh. I seriously, I shit you not, I was laughing when Michael Cole said Dana Brooke. Because right from there, I'm like, oh, Nikki Cross is going to win it. So Bayley ended up putting Sarah Logan over, and she ended up saying that she's not afraid of Sarah Logan. So Nikki says she can't lie. Dana Brooke is bigger and stronger than her. I don't think so. And Nikki Cross ended up saying she's not tougher, but she's not tougher. Dana Brooke is not tougher. And she needs to be her because she'd do anything for Alexa. So that was basically that. Move on to the War Raiders versus these jobbers, Colin and Devin Justin. This is Monday Night Raw tonight. All matches were fucking garbage. Who won this match? If you said the War Raiders, you were right. Like I said, I'm not calling the War Raiders the Viking Raiders. They're the War Raiders. So, War Raiders won the match. After the match, I guess cue the Benny Hill music, because Drake Maverick ended up running over the barricade. The jobbers end up running after him for the Ninja Turtle Jobber 24/7 Championship. And the War Raiders end up destroying a bunch of the jobbers. And Drake Maverick ended up slipping away. R-Truth was in the ring. And, he was in the ring with the War Raiders. He ended up bailing out. Heads out through the crowd with Carmella. And pretty much that was basically that. But still, Jobber Ninja Turtle title is on TV. Please keep it off TV. Just keep it on social media. I keep on repeating myself with this every time I talk about this Jobber Ninja Turtle title. Keep it on social media. Take it off of fucking TV. Then we had Ricochet end up making his entrance, and he got on the mic. Ricochet ended up saying that when AJ Styles challenged him, he thought, great, what a way to prove himself. He said last week, that's exactly what he did. He says, before he could even celebrate one of the biggest wins of his career, the club gave him one of the biggest beatings of his life. He says, and now he knows he's got AJ Styles this Sunday. And Ricochet says, as far as tonight goes, we all know what's going to happen. He says, Luke Gallows isn't going to be alone. Karl and Cien and AJ Styles will both be here. And in the end, he says he's just going to have to fight all three. So Styles' music ends up hitting. The club made their entrance. Styles got on the mic. And he ends up thanking Ricochet for the recap. And he offers some advice. He said here in WWE, they move pretty quickly. So slow down and appreciate the moment. He says, might as well, because Gallows is going to stomp a mud hole in him. And so Styles like, oh, and while we're talking about moments, he wants to appreciate the moment they had last week. And the video plays a recap of what happened during the main event, where Styles ended up striking Ricochet, the heel turn, and then you had Gallows and Anderson beating down on Ricochet, also with Styles. Styles ended up hitting the Styles Clash from the top from last week. And, that was that. And then we had the match. Ricochet versus Luke Gallows. I mean, the match was boring. Ricochet ended up getting the win roll up on Gallows. Then after the match, Styles ends up on the apron. He was on the mic, and he says, "Oh, we could leave it there, or we could do like Ricochet said he was gonna, like Ricochet said he was gonna do, and that's go through all three of them." So Styles was like, "Oh, why not wrestle Karl Anderson right here, right now, unless he's not man enough." So Raw went to commercial. Then when Raw came back, we had the match. Ricochet versus Karl Anderson. Pretty much Ricochet manhandled Gallows and Anderson tonight. Ricochet got the win. 6:30 on Karl Anderson. After the match, Styles came in. He beat down on Ricochet. Gallows ended up laying strikes to Ricochet. And then we saw Gallows and Anderson. They ended up picking up Ricochet. End up hitting the Magic Killer to Ricochet. And Gallows and Anderson end up picking up Ricochet. Gave him to Styles. So Styles would hit the Styles Clash once again from the top. Then Ricochet got his hands in the ropes, and he ended up blocking the Styles Clash. And Styles, we heard him saying, "Oh, give me a microphone, give me a microphone." So he got the microphone. Styles ended up saying that he's a good guy, and he'll leave a little bit of Ricochet left, as long as he stays down. So there won't be any excuses when he wins at Extreme Rules. So we had the club end up leaving. Ricochet ended up getting back up. And Styles came back into the ring. Ended up hitting the phenomenal forearm to Ricochet. Laid out Ricochet. And pretty much that was basically what happened. Then we had Renee Michelle. She was sitting on a road case. Drake Maverick was running, screaming. He was about surviving the night as champion. And then we see R-Truth end up popping out of one of the road cases. And he had a referee on him. And he ends up calling, of course, Drake Maverick Hornswoggle. So Maverick ended up running off. And, of course, the jobbers end up chasing him. And then you see EC3's face. You can tell EC3 is disgusted, had a disgusted look on his face. He was like, "Oh, why am I doing this? Why am I running?" If you saw his face during this backstage thing, you could tell the disgusted look on his face. It's like he's waiting for his contract to be up so he could go somewhere else. Because they ain't doing shit with EC3. Then we had McIntyre and Cien backstage. They were talking to this janitor, and they were offering him $5,000 to tag with Roman Reigns, and not to wrestle, but just to let them handle it. And they end up saying, "Oh, we'll get you a mask." So they're offering this janitor guy $5,000 just to tag with Roman. Okay. Then we had the Beat the Clock challenge. First up, Bayley versus Sarah Logan. This match This match was boring. The crowd was chanting CM Punk through this. And if you know the crowd is chanting CM Punk, you know this is a fucking terrible match. So Bayley ended up getting the win. Roll up on Sarah Logan. I gotta say, Sarah Logan looked pretty good here tonight. I could tell that she lost a lot of weight. And she looked good tonight. You know, it was cool seeing Sarah Logan back. You know, seeing that she was kept off TV ever since the shakeup, ever since they broke up the Riot Squad. So Bayley got the win in 4 minutes and 32 seconds. So Nikki Cross ended up having to beat that time. So now we had Nikki Cross versus Dana Brooke. You know, another boring match. Just, you know, Nikki Cross ended up, you know, taking out Dana Brooke. You know, Nikki Cross pretty much got, you know, advantage throughout this whole match. So Nikki Cross ended up winning, swinging a neck breaker on Dana Brooke. She ended up beating the time of 4 minutes and 32 seconds. Nikki Cross won in 1 minute and 51, or it could be a minute and 50, depending. So I'm just going to go with minute 51 is when the clock stopped at it. So yeah, so Nikki Cross ends up winning. So since she beat Bayley's time, she now has to choose the stipulation of what Bayley and Alexa's match. The stipulation match would be at Extreme Rules on Sunday. So Nikki Cross gets on the mic. She ends up telling Bayley to come to the ring because she has something to say to her face. So, you know, she was saying that she's been trying to convince her that Alexa isn't her friend. But the problem is she doesn't understand what a real friendship means. And she says it's okay because Nikki will show her what it means at Extreme Rules when Alexa lets her make the title match into a 2-on-1 handicap match. So it's going to be Alexa and Nikki versus Bayley at Extreme Rules this Sunday for, you know, 2-on-1 handicap match. It's going to be for the SmackDown Women's Championship. It's on the line. So I guess, you know, Nikki is going to possibly help Alexa, you know, win the SmackDown Women's title. And Nikki ends up saying that she's going to help Alexa take the title. And Nikki was like, oh, some free advice? She ends up telling Bayley to go and find a friend of her own because she needs someone as honest and loyal as Alexa. So Bayley ends up holding off Nikki. She ends up hitting the Bayley to belly on Nikki Cross. She ends up dragging Nikki into place. Bayley goes for the top. She ends up hitting the diving elbow on Nikki Cross. You know, the Macho Man diving elbow. So now it's basically that. So there we go. 2-on-1 handicap match. Alexa and Nikki versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title. Extreme Rules this Sunday. Then we had Mike Kanellis. We saw Mike Kanellis. He ends up bringing Maria her ice cream and a jar of pickles. And she ends up telling Mike that she can't eat now because she'll get fat. And Maria asks if he wanted to impregnate her now if she wasn't already. Mike says, of course he would. And Maria says, he'll never get to do it again. And she's not sure if he's the one who did it this time. And Maria ends up yelling at him, and Mike runs off. So I guess we're gonna get a who's the father angle here. Do I really care? No. It's absolute fucking garbage. So then we had Corey Graves. He was interviewing Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, and I am tired. I forgot to mention this, but I am tired of hearing Michael Cole on commentary say, "Oh, Seth Rollins, he's the boyfriend to Becky Lynch," or Becky Lynch, she's the girlfriend to Seth Rollins. I'm like, we know they're a couple. You don't need to state that every single week. We know already. So Becky Lynch ends up calling him out for his big ego, and says they've backed up everything they said, and the only difference Sunday is that there's no rules. And she says, so those two dopes, meaning Corbin and Lacey, are out of excuses, and that they've got no more chances, and that her and Seth are walking out as champions after Extreme Rules. So she leaves, Becky leaves, and Seth ends up agreeing with Becky, of course. I'm like, WWE, I don't know why they're doing this angle between Seth and Becky, with their relationship on TV. You could tell that when they started this, they were really uncomfortable with their, relationship going, public, and WWE trying to do this with them. I think WWE should have just kept, this whole thing private, and not have their relationship on TV, because, who knows? Maybe they wanted their relationship private. Nobody needs to know, their whole, private, relationship life, And then we get to the main event, which was garbage. Shane McMahon, Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns, and this partner that Shane and McIntyre, chose for Roman. And this guy's name was Gary Garbutt. This was a tag team match, and this guy was dressed in a janitor suit, wearing a mask. And so Shane and Drew won the match. McIntyre ended up hitting the Claymore to Garbutt, and Shane came in. Lateral press from Shane on Garbutt, and that's how the match ended. And it was revealed after the match that Gary Garbutt, under the mask, was Cedric Alexander. And I'm like, really? This guy, Cedric Alexander, this guy is talented. You bring him to Raw, and you make him dressed in a janitor suit and wear a mask? And this guy was a former Cruiserweight champion. Unbelievable. Unfucking believable. Embarrassing. So Shane and Drew win the match. Did I give a fuck? No. And that's how Raw ended. But man, this show sucks. This show sucked tonight. This is a garbage ass show. The second worst Raw of this year. Absolute fucking garbage. And you know, that's it for this Monday Night Raw review. I'm done talking about this show tonight. Fuck this show tonight. Fucking shitastic, shitty show. So, anyways, that's it for this review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this video. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until next video, which will be the SmackDown review. And yes, I will be doing the SmackDown review tomorrow. It's not going to be during later this week. SmackDown review will be up tomorrow night. So until that video, I will see you all back here tomorrow night for the SmackDown review. Hopefully, it'll be a better show. I am keeping my chances low because we all know how SmackDown is. You know, it's like Monday Night Raw 2.0. So let's see what SmackDown does for their go-home show for Extreme Rules tomorrow. So until then, I'll see you all back here tomorrow night for the SmackDown review.